We've got a new series coming out this week, Knights of X #1 from Tini Howard. That is bound to be a very good comic book, as well as we're going to talk about Sabretooth #3. And here with me to talk about this, as always, is the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado himself. Doc, how you doing, buddy?
You made me read Tini Howard.
It's a #1 issue. You know, these things are important.
Well, you say that, but are they? I don't know why they are.
Why is this a #1 issue? It feels like it's Excalibur, but with a new name.
It is, because that's all it is a continuation of Excalibur, but with a different name. It's basically her doing like fucking Lord of the Rings.
I thought you would be excited about the Siege Perilous stuff.
By anyone that's not named Tini Howard, maybe.
Oh.
The Siege Perilous is interesting. The problem is there was 2 Siege Perilouses back in the day. There was the one that Chris did over in Excalibur that had to do with the fucking the round table and King Arthur and the last chair. Then there was the other one, which was the one that he did over in X-Men with the fucking gem that turned into a portal that would judge them and put them into their best life. And this is Tini Howard making them the same fucking thing.
Apparently. So let's get into Knights of X #1. Tini Howard, Bob Quinn. I must say up front, Doc, Bob Quinn's art looks really good. It feels out of place here because it's far too good for the crappy writing.
The only thing that I did not have an objection to in this comic was the art. It was fun. It was good, good superhero comic book art. Only problem is she didn't give him anything to do. It was still a bunch of characters just milling around.
Yeah, you kind of feel bad. He probably needed something a little bit more, I don't know, spicy to really get the art going, but he does his best to make it look good, and it certainly looks very, very nice. The writing by Tini Howard, obviously, is another story. Once again, the thing that really just stands out the entire comic book issue as absolute shit is the dialogue. The dialogue is so off-putting. None of these characters sound like themselves. When they interact, you just hate all of them. You're like, I wish you would just kill each other, because no one would ever want to talk to each other like that.
It was just like the Mutual Admiration Society. Everybody loves everyone. There's no personality conflicts, and everyone validates everyone. What the fuck kind of comic book is it? You have a 10-person cast where everyone gets along from page 1. What the shit?
Yeah, it's strange. And then when they introduced, you saw the obligatory page of, who was it, Shatterstar and Richter?
Yep, and Richter and Shatterstar had
like, get your pants on. It's like, well, it's good to know that you guys were just fucking.
Yes, exactly.
What?
Look, I have no issue with Richter and Shatterstar being in a relationship. It's been implied since way back in the fucking X-Force days. And Peter David did a good job of establishing it in X Factor.
It was just a weird page so that you knew they were in a relationship, but everyone already knows they're in a relationship. It was so strange. It's panels like that are just, they serve no purpose other than the reminder. And it's like, I'm not stupid. I'm not a child. I know what's going on here. Now let's get to what this comic book, I guess, is. We get a nice big opening exposition dump. Apparently Merlin has displaced Saturnine, and he's taken over the floating castle thing, and he's turned it into some like evil thing. And his top knight is King Arthur, and they have a bunch of sentinels, which I believe they call Furies, that are hunting down witch breed, which is what they call mutants in Otherworld. Similar story that we've heard many, many times over.
Hey, instead of sentinels, we'll use Furies. Hey, instead of evil racists, we'll use Merlin. We need to save a world that hates and fears us. It's knockoff X-Men. Like, if she wanted to do an X-Men book, do an X-Men book.
So that's kind of like what's going on. Now, Betsy Braddock is Captain Britain. She has the Captain Britain Corps. Of course, they all look exactly the same, so you can't tell any of the characters from each other. Tini Howard's dialogue is awful, so they all sound the same. And there is no portal back to Krakoa anymore, and she needs soldiers, so she goes to Roma to find a way back to Krakoa and recruit 10 soldiers to come back with.
Because Roma is the queen of the Fae, and Fae magic is based on stories, so she basically needs to write The Hobbit. They just have to go on a quest. You don't know. They didn't even bother to tell us at this point what the quest is going to be. It's like they haven't figured that fucking part out. They're just like, oh, it's a quest. So she sends them back. She has to come back with 10. and she comes back with 8.
They somehow lose Jubilee along the way, but they do bring the kid over, obviously, which is an enormous dragon. Also, they were supposed to bring back Mordred, who he doesn't show up, but then he does show up as like a younger knight kind of guy. I don't know. This feels like an enormous waste of a lot of really good characters, specifically Gambit. Why isn't Gambit with his sweetheart?
You know, in fairness, Jerry Duggan, while Gambit wasn't a member of the X-Men, he was using Gambit and Rogue as a couple in X-Men, with having to go to Game World or whatever the shit it was, and trying to track down Cordyceps Jones. So what, is he now just going to be randomly off the table? Because last issue of X-Men, him and Rogue had just talked to Rocket and were about to go and meet Rocket.
He's just going to let his sweetheart go to Game World by herself.
Yeah.
Not have any backup.
No, it
feels like Gambit, doesn't it? To just be like, yeah, you got that one, honey. I'm going to go to Otherworld where there's no portal back and we can't ever be together again.
Sounds exactly right. No, it's overall pretty fucking stupid. There's no reason for Gambit to be there except for apparently Tini Howard really likes Gambit.
She called dibs.
She called dibs.
You know what's weird also is Bay the Blood Moon, or whatever that stupid character from Morocco. Like, one of the few traits that they've actually like fleshed out with the character and what they represent is that she will never leave Douglas alone.
Yeah.
Because she's there to protect him. And she's also, just like Gambit's like, I'll just leave Douglas back in Krakoa. He doesn't need any protection anymore, even though I've clearly shown that I will lose my mind and murder everyone if they even harm a hair on his head.
Again, makes no sense. Okay, fine. They established the whole Shogo, Jubilee's baby. That, Jesus Christ, can we get rid of this fucking kid already? Just leave him as a dragon in Otherworld forever. Jubilee doesn't need to be a fake mom. He's asleep in our world, but fucking Otherworld, he gets to turn into a dragon and go on adventures, and he's really happy there. So just let him be happy in Otherworld as a dragon. Who the hell cares?
So what's your final assessment of this, Doc? Are you going to be coming back for more Knights of X? Are you showing up for number 2?
Well, not unless you make me.
I wouldn't do that to you, man.
You're going to make me, aren't you?
No.
When there's a week in X-Men and we need a second book to review, you're absolutely going to make me.
We'll do a top 5 list or something. I don't want to touch this either.
All right.
I don't recommend this comic book to anybody. I think it absolutely sucks. Unless you really like the art and you're really into X-Men and maybe Merlin and stuff like that. If you want to see Merlin bastardized and the Legend of King Arthur absolutely shit on, this might be the comic book for you.
Yeah, no, skip this fucking comic, because honestly, even Bob Quinn's art, horribly underutilized. Don't bother.
Let's move over to the other X-Men comic book we got this week. Sabretooth number 3, Victor LaValle, Leonard Kirk. I like the first issue. The second issue wasn't quite as good, but I like this stuff. I like what Victor LaValle's doing here. It's a little bit heavy-handed, but he's definitely exposing the corruption at the core of Krakoa, and I kind of dig that.
Yes and no. It's a horribly heavy-handed commentary on egalitarian societies, the concept of equality, and the prison system, which is exactly what I expected this fucking comic to turn into. It's activism, the comic. I do get amusement out of the fact that it's shitting all over although the basic concepts of Krakoa, in that they just get completely ignored constantly. And apparently, it just matters who you are, whether or not you get in trouble.
We just talked about that with Steve Orlando. He was doing an interview. He's like, it doesn't matter if you break the basic laws of Krakoa. You need someone to make you stop, and no one does that. And I was like, Jesus, these guys are shitting all over everything. As far as the framework that Jonathan Hickman created here, purposefully or not on purpose, I think Victor LaValle is definitely giving us a nice look into and commentary on the way that these creators are handling Krakoa and the rules.
Oh, absolutely. But it's obviously more of a commentary on America. He's just using Krakoa as a stand-in. Everyone's equal, but some are more equal than others. Well, we don't have a prison, but we have a prison. I could keep my mind hidden from Xavier because I'm a nobody, and he doesn't bother to read my mind. So we can plan behind his back without worrying about getting found out. I mean, we already got this same commentary This one was just done in a different way. You know, with Hickman, it demonstrated that Charles just sucks at his job sometimes.
Or maybe he only saw what he wanted to see.
And he's blind to his own problems. And it showed him as a giant hypocrite with not letting anybody hear about the quiet council while at the same time talking about an open society and everything like that. But it's being done with these characters that nobody gives a shit about. And I think that's what it comes down to for me. I don't like this comic because, well, first of all, the art sucks.
The art does suck. No doubt about that.
And it's gotten worse from issue to issue. Like the first 100%. Issue was mediocre. The next two were just bad. The whole thing with these characters, though, is like Mole, this fucking melter kid, like bling and this and that. I get it. The whole point is the unseen part of a society is the one that can cause a revolution within it. That's the point that he's making in this comic.
The good news is, Doc, we've got 3 opportunities for this thing to just end. There's a good chance that Peter's going to go insane and nuke all of Krakoa when they skin his girlfriend. That could happen. The second opportunity is perhaps the Eternals are going to destroy them all because they think they're deviants. If that doesn't work, we do have Sabretooth and his gang that are trying to undermine it from within. So hopefully within the next 6 months, all of the Krakoan era is just over and they reset.
Sir, you have far more faith in that ukulele playing fool isn't going to get rid of his orgy island anytime soon because he doesn't have any other fucking ideas.
Nah, they're not going to, but there's, hey, it could happen. If there was good storytelling and they realized the state of Krakoa and the X-Men, they would do it. I would marginally recommend Sabretooth #3. The art does suck. It is heavy-handed, but there is a little bit of amusement to be had in this comic book. I don't think it's as bad as issue #2. Definitely stay away from Knights of X #1. That book sucks. If you liked Excalibur, you'll like this because it's the same comic book, but with more characters that you don't care about and more wasting of the good characters that you do like.
Don't buy either of these books. They're both fucking bad.
If you're looking for some X-Men comics that are actually worth reading, Doc and I did this list quite a while ago, maybe 2 years ago, the top 5 X-Men comic book stories of all times. You definitely want to check this out. There's no Phoenix Saga on here because it was too obvious. We got 5 other stories that you want to check out. Check this video out for some actual good X-Men.